Hello everybody, On-Grid Joel here. So today I wanted to show you in the shop, my Bosch 12-inch dual compound hinge miter saw. I'll just take a picture of the nameplate here. Bought this a couple years ago. I have always had a miter saw of some type. My first one was one of those big cast iron heavy Delta 10-inch miter saws. I loved it. Used the heck out of it. Built a lot of decks with it. Built a couple garages with it. Then my next one was a Milwaukee 10-inch. It was a dual bevel, and it had the arms that go straight out the back, the rail slide. And this hinge slide, when I saw this thing come out, boy, I really fell in love with it. I thought I had to have it. It's so compact. My shop here is kind of like the third stall of a garage, and I don't have a lot of room. So seeing this, I needed to have one. So after a couple years of them being on the market, I was able to pick one up. But then I needed a table to put it on. So I was just checking around, looking at some ideas on YouTube on what type of a table to get or build. And I landed on this. I just made kind of a floating plywood box. I used a TigerPly 3/4 inch pine. There's the name tag. I think I got this at Home Depot, and it's a really nice, slick surface. Works great for sliding materials on. One thing I did not want was a backstop. I'd always had a fence. Actually had a miter fence, a steel one with a laminate on it, and it had a really nice adjustable gauge. But this time I really wanted to have this as a work table also. So you can see these extensions make for a great flat workspace. I inset a track inside here. I'll show you on the other side. I've got a couple of things mocked up. But I went ahead and used the plunge router to route this in, and then I can slide my gauges across on that, and it works out really well. And I've got this whole nice flat area to work on. So here's an idea. This was my first iteration of kind of a stop gauge for this track, and I just cut a disc, painted it black just so it looked nice, just a piece of 3/4 plywood, and I just put a 1/4 bolt for it with a hex head on it, and that worked out pretty well. I went round because that way the stuff doesn't get stuck in there. And just kind of finger tighten it down. Let me grab a piece of wood here. Works out pretty good. You set your length, get your stock set on the table here. Then you get it tightened down the length you want. Then you go ahead, you make your cut. And then you can make multiple cuts. But the thing I did not like about this was I'm always tightening it with my fingers. It's a little bit hard on the fingers just having a nut on there. So I did end up going to Menards, and I found a handle that would fit a 1/4 and this was my second generation. Using this one here, I just cut a little rectangle, beveled the edges. Again, I painted it black just for looks, but it's the same as this one, except I am able to use the handle on it. It's really slick. See, I've just got that poking through. And then I can go ahead and I can tighten it. It's infinitely adjustable. Oops. And tighten that right down. Gets a lot of pressure on there. That thing's not moving anywhere. So another item that I purchased, this is probably my favorite right here to use. I will use that most often. But I also put a 1/4 stud into the Craig clamp, and I'm able to use that also. If I've got some thicker stock that I want to clamp down, I can use this Craig clamp, and that works out pretty decent. So that's the top of the bench. You can see the saw, my dust collection. I've got a 2-inch, maybe a 3-inch. I think I put a 3-inch line up here. We'll go underneath, but then I've got this, I use this clear plastic for a blast gate when I'm not using that. I also hooked up a line over here to the back of the saw. And it's good. It's not perfect. I still do get enough dust around here. I could build a hood or a shroud or something, but this does work out pretty good. Then I sweep when I am done sawing, I'll just sweep everything down into my dust hole there. But underneath, I've got a lot of stuff underneath here, but you can see there's my 3-inch riser for the flexible tube. And then I've got a 3-inch riser here. And that's going into that down below. And I go around, take a 90, actually a double 45. So it wasn't a sharp 90 there. I had to get around my leg of the bench. Come around. And then it ties into the larger 6-inch over here. Sometime I'll show you how I made these fit. These plastic pipes don't always fit with each other. So I had to get my apologies, I got cut off there. But sometime I'll show you how to make these fit. I made a jig and heated them up and formed them to make a better, tighter fit when they don't match up well. But here I've got an example of what I used for the brackets to hold up this this plywood carcass. It's just a very simple 3/4 inch by probably 3 inch, 2.5 inch maybe. I've got some pocket holes drilled in to hold the angle brackets up. It's very sturdy, holds it up very well. And it just goes up against the wall like that. It does a great job. So that's about the extent of my Bosch 12-inch dual compound miter saw installation with the hinge on it. The one mistake I did make is I made the cavity only as wide as the base of the saw, and that caused me some troubles for swinging over the miter. So you could see that the side of it used to be right here, so I had to come in and hack that out so I could get my full swing over. But that brings it to 55 degrees. If I would be satisfied with just the 45 degrees, I would have been able to leave this alone. It would have been fine and not in the way. But in order to get that full 55, I had to saw that out. And over on this side, I've got a similar situation where I've got my corner still nice and crisp in there. When it hits, the locking mechanism hits, I'm only at about 37 degrees, 36 degrees. So that's something I still have to do. I think I will cut this off right about here and then trim that back underneath here to make it get that full 50-degree bevel out of it, or miter rather. So anyways, minor issue, but this is working out really well for me. I like the saw, and has plenty of power, cuts everything I need to cut. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. I'll be happy to read them.